Alright, Syracuse fans, I'm Andrew Pregler here outside the Carrier Dome for our first ever edition of Noons TV, here to break down the two big basketball games we have coming up this weekend. Both Syracuse men's and women's go on the road. The men's take on number 1 Louisville at the KFC Yum Center, while the women travel up to Connecticut to take on perennial power and Big East favorite UConn. I'm here with Zach Moll and Katie Muldowney to break down both of these games for you. First, we'll head over to Zach Moll, who I was able to catch up with earlier today. All right, everyone, I'm here with the double overtime Zach Moll, here to talk a little Syracuse basketball before they go into their matchup against number 1 Louisville. Now, I wrote earlier this week that Syracuse is going to do just fine without James Sutherland because it's just a matter of making up the points. I know you disagree with me. Tell me why I'm wrong.
The thing with James Sutherland here the past few weeks, Andy, is he really hasn't played a good game in a month. So I'm not really too worried about the issue of not having Sutherland because he's a guy where if he's not making the three-point shot, he's not really helping you at all. Yeah, he's gotten some rebounds, but if you just look at rebounds, I mean, anybody can get a board. And the point is, he's been cold shooting the ball for a good month or so. Hasn't really brought anything to the table. And the guys just seem to give him the ball constantly, even though he's not making the shots. So he kind of takes away possessions. So his absence, I don't think it's that big of a deal. If anything, at this point, because he's been cold for a while, I think it's a little bit of a benefit. If he's hot, you want him out there, but he hasn't been hot since they played Detroit.
Now, just from your gut feeling about things, do you think Michael Carter-Williams is going to be able to get that hot streak back? Because we've been saying on the site that he's the key to winning the Louisville game. Do you think he gets that hot streak back? And what's your key to winning the Louisville game?
The thing with Carter-Williams is that he has been forcing a lot of shots recently. Probably started about a month and a half ago where you'd see him start to take a bunch of three-point shots when he didn't really need to, especially with 25, 30 seconds on the shot clock. And it's just a waste of a possession. For a guy that should run your offense, you don't really want to see him take that many shots, especially bad ones. And I've compared him to Scoop Jardine on the postgame show because you get a lot of good plays, but you get a lot of dumb mistakes and wasted possessions. His potential's a lot higher, but right now he's hindering the team. You look at a game like Temple, that's the one I keep pointing back to. He took 17 shots in that game, and he's been consistently in the double digits. He's not efficient with his scoring. He gets out of control in the lane. He needs to go back to what he did earlier in the season and just run the offense like a traditional point guard. And as for my key to the game, you look at the one game that they lost was to Duke. What Duke did, they were able to get balanced scoring from their starters. So the key is going to be move the ball around because Louisville's defense is very, very, very good. You saw them against UConn basically take that and just say, you're not scoring the rest of the half. And that's my fear with Syracuse because Louisville plays kind of a modified zone, kind of a man-zone combination. So the key is going to be to get everybody involved and don't force it because if you start wasting possessions, it's one less opportunity for you to stay in the game. So, and the other thing you got to look at is playing at the KFC Yum Center. You know that place is going to be rocking for the game. Obviously, you're looking at 2 of the top 10 teams in the country, at least by ranking. So you got to stay calm in the environment and don't waste the possessions because if you start wasting them, they're going to shut you down late in the game.
Alrighty, well, I'm going to go with my official prediction. Syracuse pulls this one off in a gritty 66-64 win. Zach, what do you want the record for?
Well, that was biased. Anyway, I'm going to say Louisville 67-50, just because I'm really high on Louisville's defense, and right now the Syracuse offense is just not good.
Well, no matter what happens, Syracuse gets a rematch at the Dome on March 1st against Louisville, back when the second half of the Big East schedule kicks in. Remember, follow him at Zach Moll over on Twitter, and make sure that you tune into the double overtime on WAER after the Syracuse-Louisville game. Hi there, everybody. I'm Andrew Pregler here with Katie Muldowney, the Citrus beat writer for the women's basketball team, here to tell us why we need to start paying attention to the women's basketball team, especially now that they're playing number 2 UConn this weekend on the road. So, Katie, tell us, who have been the big contributors as the Orange are now ranked number 23 in the country, if I'm correct?
Correct. 23 in the coaches poll this week, which is huge. It's the first time that they've broke into that top 25 this season. And, you know, it's really funny because for those of you who don't know women's basketball that well, the freshmen are really on fire this season. And I think that that's surprising to a lot of people, but we have names like Brianna Butler, Brittany Sykes. You have a lot of people. You have Cornelia Fondren, who scored a lot of points in last night's game against DePaul on Tuesday in the Carrier Dome. And that was a perfect example of what this team represents. It was constant back and forth. They're athletic, they're aggressive, and they won 84-80. So it was a tough fight till the end, but they're on fire.
So when we look at UConn, we know that they're a perennial power. We know just how talented they are. Does Syracuse stand a shot against UConn?
Well, you know, it's funny because last night Coach and the players were talking about UConn is UConn, and you have to go in the game knowing that, just because they are so good and they have great players. Their entire roster, any of those girls are great and aggressive. So you have to look at it that way. But the team was talking about how they kind of go into every game and they just know that they have to fight and that they have to play and they have to be on top of their game. So their preparation is kind of, we're going to give more than we normally would, but we're still going to play just like any other game. We're still going to go in there, and it's a good challenge for them. They're a great team. If anything, it will be a nice challenge, and it will see the younger players give them a little bit more experience. So I think it will be great. So maybe not a win, but definitely it will prove that this team isn't just some team that you should forget about. So.
And I know that Syracuse later on in the season also has to travel to Notre Dame, who's another big competitor within the Big East. Now, what's Syracuse's outlook like for winning the entire conference, as right now they are undefeated?
In conference play, I think they have a really good shot. They're a really good team. They can finish a game. Honestly, they really have an advantage. They have a great recruit class this season, sorry. But so I really think that this team may surprise a lot of people, like I've said all along, and they are definitely contenders. So, if not a win, they will be up there in the top, and I think Syracuse is a name that you're going to keep hearing over and over again. You have seniors like Kayla Alexander, who, Coach said, Kayla is the reason that they are who they are. So you have the seniors, you have the freshmen, great roster from freshmen on up. So
we're going to hear a lot from women's basketball later on. I'm sure we'll be talking to Katie later on. For Noons TV, I'm Andrew Pregler. See you again next time, and go Cuse.